Hello, my name is Keshwani. That's K-E-S-H-W-A-N-I, Keshwani. We are here because we want to prepare for the GRE. We have been solving GRE math questions out of this book here, the official guide to the GRE, the revised general test. If you do not own this book already, purchase one immediately. You're going to need it. The problem that we are about to solve is the one that you will find on page number 243. Page 243. Today is our lesson number 138. Let's take a look at it. The very last problem on the page, number 4. It says if the function g is defined for all non-zero numbers y by, and they give you the function g is given as what does it mean by all non-zero numbers? It says if the function g is defined for all non-zero numbers. What the hell does it mean, all non-zero numbers? This is a very awkward, very tedious, very verbose way of saying y cannot be 0. Y cannot be 0. Why? Why y cannot be 0? I didn't mean y as in letter y, I meant why, pourquoi, y cannot be 0. Because if y were 0, if y were 0, we would have 0 at the bottom. And any number divided by 0 is undefined. We will have a trouble. We cannot have 0 at the bottom. We cannot divide any number by 0. It is an undefined quantity. It is an infinity. So to prevent that from happening, they tell you that y cannot be 0. Except they don't say it like that. They don't say y cannot be 0. It says this is defined for all non-zero numbers. All non-zero numbers, as long as number is not 0, is what they're trying to tell you. So let's evaluate. They're asking us to evaluate this function at different values. At different values. First one is g of 2. Now listen, if you're still having trouble with this notion of g, usually you see f of x, here it is g of y. If you're still having trouble with the concept of function, what it means to be a function and why sometimes they're called f of x and sometimes they're called g of x and sometimes all of a sudden there appears a g of y. If you're still having trouble with these concepts, you must go back, if you have not done so already, and watch my videos where I describe this, describe the notion of function. The 106 and 107. In those two videos we learned what it means to be a function and why some of them are called f of x and some of them are called g of x and some of them are called monkey of x. This one is called, this function has a name of g. We are calling that function g, and this function is based on a variable called y, and the function looks like this. We have to take the value of y and divide it by the absolute value of y. That's all it is. The very first one says what's the value of this function? What's the value of this function when y equals 2? And that's very straightforward. When y equals 2, we go to this function, and wherever we see y, we replace it with 2. So we have 2 over absolute value of 2. Well, absolute value of 2 is just 2. So 2 over 2, which is 1. That's it. That was the A. Let's take a look at B. B says, I was about to erase it, but then I realized I don't want to erase it because we're going to need it in a second. G of negative 2. Well, G of negative 2 is simply 2 over absolute value of negative 2. 2 over absolute value of negative 2. This board is slippery and sometimes. So absolute value of negative 2 is positive 2. Positive 2 divided by positive 2 is 1. So this also turns out to be 1. Something has gone wrong, hasn't it? In B they say g of negative 2. G of negative 2, you see? G of negative 2 means wherever we see g of negative 2 means wherever we see y, we have to replace that y with a negative 2. I did not here. I replaced the bottom y in the absolute value, in the absolute sign, I replaced that y by negative 2, but I forgot to replace this y by negative 2. The top is also negative 2 because top is y is negative 2. Negative 2 divided by the absolute value of negative 2 is same as negative 2 divided by positive 2. Same as negative 2 divided by positive 2, which is going to give us negative 1. And the reason I caught myself right away is because I know what they're asking in C. In the C, they're asking about the difference of the two, which we'll do in a second. Let's do it right here. C, they say what is the value of g of 2? What's the value of g of 2 minus g of negative 2? Well, that's pretty straightforward. G of 2 we found out is positive 1. And g of negative 2 we just found out is negative 2. Sorry, negative 1. G of 2 is negative 1. So it's 1 minus a negative 1, which gives us positive 2. That is your answer. That was the answer to C. That's all. And like I said before, sometimes I come across clients who are not very firm in their understanding of what is known as a function. And they freak out when they see g of x and f of x and h of x and k of x and l of x. Go back and watch this video 105 and 106, as I said before. If you happen to be one of those people, you will get a better understanding of the notion of the function, and you will be at ease next time when you come across it. One thing that you do not want in the exam is anxiety. One thing that you do not want in the exam, during the exam, is the nervousness of coming across something that you do not know how to interpret. One does not want that kind of situation. Does one? No, one bloody well does not. I'll see you tomorrow, okay? Bye now.